Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good. Why it's so dark behind me? But
it's all right. You look nice and bright and
I know, like I'm
ready to
just trying to.
go.
I'm ready. I'm
Are
ready.
you,
I see
are
what
you
you did. I
all?
don't know what you did this morning with the breathing and the counting was intentional, but I got to that because I was listening to the last chapter today, and I got to that part in the book where he talks about that, where they were counting to 10 and then starting over, and I'm like, 10 just
Yes,
did
that's where I got it from
that.
because I mean, like I've known that, but I haven't
Yeah,
thought about it in the way that he describes it in so long, like in the
yeah.
true meaning of mindfulness, like how we get so deep into that. And I was like, oh my God, my teacher used to do that with us just to four. And I can remember like it took me a while to be able to focus on that, but today was great. I felt like I could focus on
I
10.
totally. The only thing that really would have distracted me is you saying, even if you're, and that didn't, except I was telling my husband, and I put it in my post today too, and we could probably talk about this later, but when we were doing it in mountain pose, I was up to like 12, and I'm like, whoa, I'm
Oh
supposed to
yeah,
start
I read that.
I was like, oh, I'm so into it. I'm going just beyond.
I
Forgot
know.
I was supposed to stop at 10.
Well,
That's
that's
funny.
it. Then you remember, I got to start back at 10 again. There's some
Yep.
distraction somewhere that
Yep. Yep.
inevitably happens, but yeah,
It
his
was fun.
whole
It was funny. Yeah.
hmm
I feel like I was just so in the flow of it that I just stepped out and I'm a counter anyway. And I think it was Barbara was saying that like she tends to count like I'm always counting everything. I don't just I might be taking steps and I'm just in my head I'm counting. So I feel like that's normal for me. So I'll just keep going.
like it's easy for you to focus when you count. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hi,
Yeah.
Sue.
Hi, Sue.
Hi guys,
How are you?
hanging in there. How about you?
Pretty good. Pretty
Nice.
good. Maybe a little bit tired, but whatever. I guess that's
Yeah.
Like,
always a little
I
bit
know.
tired.
Back to school is hard too, I think.
It's a
yeah,
transition,
Yeah.
I'm not the greatest, which is funny because I've had so many, but I'm not the greatest with transitions. They just,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're hard. They're hard. Change is hard, right? We
Yes.
know
Even
that.
though we
So,
know it's coming sometimes, and
right.
even though all the even those, it doesn't matter. It's still, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
for sure. So how was the wedding? I saw the pictures. Everything looked beautiful.
It was so good. Yeah, it went off really nice. I mean, we had beautiful weather too because it was hot and humid, like really hot and humid that whole week. And then that Friday was like 80 degrees, breezy, dry. It was so beautiful. But
Yay.
yeah,
Oh,
it was really fun. And it was over in a flash. And like you just said, transitions. I'm like, huh, okay. Well, I had two weddings. Like I didn't really even expect that. And now I'm like, huh, okay. What am I doing? I mean, I can totally immerse myself into this now, but
yep.
but it
Yeah,
feels
you can
like
help me plan the next retreat.
sure, that's the one that's in 2 weeks or
No, 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 no.
oh the
I'm
next
looking at
yeah,
next
we can plan.
April. Next April. Yeah.
Sure.
No, I actually want to get the house that we got for the semi-silent women's retreat that we ended up having like a blizzard, even though it was spring.
Mhm.
I want to get that same house again. So I started looking to see, of course, it's available because it's so far away. But anyway, yeah, I was like, I think I'm in the mood and I'll have the bandwidth and the time and all as of now for a retreat in the spring because
Nice.
fall we couldn't do
Well,
one this summer.
hopefully I'll have the bandwidth. I feel like that's what kept me from all of those other retreats that you didn't have at Joy
Right,
was
you had so much going
wedding and then
on.
wedding.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, I
Yep.
want to go. Oh no, there's another wedding coming up.
Yeah. No, no, no. It's hard, to
Yeah.
even do something like that, like when you have all that other stuff going on. Hi, Amy.
Hi, can you hear me and see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I could never hear and see you. So whoever else is here, Jen, like somehow stealthily tiptoed into class. And I just had one person in there. And all of a sudden, like I felt someone next to me and I thought, what is she doing? Like I thought it was her. Like I didn't hear anything. That was so funny.
You guys, and I was like softly talking, but I knew you didn't hear me. So then I like
Yeah.
gently put my hand, I'm like, I'm gonna scare the shit out of her. But I didn't. You were like really good. You were like, oh,
No, I
yeah.
just thought like I don't know what I thought. I was like, first I thought, is she leaving? Like,
Oh my gosh. Can
did
you
she decide
imagine?
like, no, she doesn't want to just be with me? You know? Because some
The
people
girl.
find that weird.
I
I'm
know. Yeah.
like, occasionally when it's just one person, I'm like, because some people will ask, like, oh, do you want me to leave? And I'm like, no, but
Oh,
if you feel weird, like you can, but no one
yeah.
leaves.
The funniest thing that I find, even when I had like this morning, I had two people in person, even though I had all you guys on Zoom, is like the cadence of my voice stays the same, right? Like, and I noticed that with you today, Amy. Like, no matter who were like one person or 30 people were
Yeah.
different, and then blah blah blah.
Because you're teaching.
I know. That's so funny. It's so similar. I think all of us that like learn from you kind of do and say the same things. I find like your class so similar. I'm like, oh, like I would have said that and done that too.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
like that.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Bet you if I could dig up, I wonder if I have that. Did I ever put it on YouTube? During, when was it? God, I can't even remember now. It must have been like before COVID times, during like to kick off a cleanse that I did. I invited my teacher, Vimala, to lead a class on Zoom. And it was the same kind of feeling. I'm like, even all these years later, we just all basically sound like her. Like
Yeah.
that, which is a good thing, that's a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good with this one Like I didn't really know her.
She
So I
looked
got
so
to
happy being there with you, just so you know.
she liked it because she was like, I wasn't gonna come, I just was gonna not show up. And um I was glad she did. I'm like, no, like I'm like, you get to do whatever you want.
Yep.
So it was nice. But then I've like found, get to know her. She has like a really cool job. She works like at different concerts, like different
She does.
venues in Boston, and does like whatever lighting and just different whatever.
Yep.
So that's cool.
Yep. Yeah, she's cool. Yeah. Anyway, she looked very happy being there with you today for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that was nice. I was
Yeah.
glad to be back. I feel like all summer I'm like, I haven't even been here.
Summer is crazy.
It is.
Crystal's not coming on. Okay, so I think we're just gonna get going. She says she's with screaming children. That sounds terrible.
Oh boy.
Anyway, hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
How
Hello.
are you tonight?
Good. Pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
It's a nice night. It feels really nice. At least here in Merrimack, it feels really nice out.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Today
it's
I
like
felt like
fallish. It's
beautiful.
nice.
Mhm.
Your hair is so cute. Is it a new cut?
No, this is just out of the shower. This is,
Oh, I love it.
yeah.
It looks
I took
really
a
We
shower
never
at
see
like
it down.
5.
We rarely see it down, so
I never wear it
looks so
down.
different to us.
Do you want me to
You're
put it
looking
up?
fancy, Jen.
No,
No, I look
it's
cute.
cute.
great.
Oh, I was like, do you want
It's
me to put it
cute.
up?
No. First time I ever saw your hair down was in a picture, and I was like, wow.
It's so great. No, this is just my natural, like I get out of the shower and let it go.
Oh, I wish
My
that
dog's
happened out of
crying.
the shower.
Do you hear
Everyone,
her?
everyone has a little
No.
fancy. Oh, it's a puppy.
She's bawling in a puff.
Oh no.
No, she always wants to go.
So how do we do with chapter 6, 7, and 8?
You good?
I still,
I
I
just
do still like I
listened
I
in.
like it as I said, and I listen. What I found helpful is I listen and then I read,
Yeah.
and that's
Yes.
very
Mhm.
helpful.
I
Yep.
agree. I agree.
Yep. Today I listened, I read, and I read it out loud.
Mm.
And that was even more helpful because of course I was for
What
some
makes
reason
your
I
mind?
thought chapter 9 too. So I was like, oh, I got to get through chapter 9 and of course I have them on like 1.7, so it's Bob super fast. Like, reading out loud and listening at the same time. And then I was like, oh shit, it's chapter 9. I don't need to go so far. So I actually went back and went over 6, 7, and 8. I thought these were really great chapters, the things that he touched upon. So let me just open to some of this. Does anybody have anything right off the bat that they want to bring up that you either have questions about, you enjoyed, or whatever, something that stood out to you while I'm searching here?
I actually just the other day, so right on, if you have the book, in chapter 6, so page 94, I underlined where it says, you surprise yourself moment by moment with the increasing vividness of your experiences. And I wrote down house because I just find like all of this stuff makes me be so much more aware of everything. And I was coming up my driveway and I just thought, oh my God, my house looks like gorgeous. Like but I remember thinking like the color was literally so vivid and the color hasn't changed. It's just that I really noticed it and I was like, wow, that was like crazy. So
Oh,
um, that particular little sentence just made me think of that. I probably read this after that. And I just do feel like I notice so many more things. And kind of like, this is my second time ish reading the book because the first time I didn't really get it at all. This time I get it a lot more, but still I feel like there's so much to go over and over. But
yeah, we
kind of
talked
just
about
that
that today.
point of
Like,
like the the balance of like the joy and the suffering and like it's just all what it is. It's all like the same. It's all joy and suffering. Like, when I first read that or tried to read this, I was like, yeah, okay. So now it just makes a little more sense.
yep. Well, like we talked about today, Amy, saying that even just reading through something like this another time, it's the exposure to the language. So when you
Yes.
more exposure to the language, even though he's, I mean, he's glazing over topics, even though it seems like in depth, he does get into it, but there's still a lot more to a lot of these topics. But just
Right.
having heard the words before, you get a different understanding, right?
Correct.
I'm imagining if you read it again, then you get a different understanding because then you start to explore some of the concepts or context in other ways from other teachers and authors and things. And so you'll
Right.
understand, the depth of it a little bit more. So then when you come back to this kind of a book, then you understand it even more. So I was
Yep.
talking
Exactly.
to Dawn before everybody got on about in this morning's class we did, and I don't know if that was chapter 9 or not. We might have gone too far, Dawn, but
It was
it's
8. No,
okay.
that was an 8.
It
That was
was
I
a
only
all
went to
right,
8.
cool.
Yeah, it was 8. Yeah. It was
So
because
then
it's in the
everybody's
mindfulness one.
yeah, the mindfulness one where he just talks about counting from 1 to 10, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, but just the way that he even speaks about mindfulness, I want to really, really get into that tonight because I feel like the word mindfulness just gets thrown around a lot nowadays. We hear mindfulness like well, maybe not almost everybody, but a fair amount of people are very like whatever. They hear the word mindfulness, it's kind of like a throwaway word. And so to reread the way that Bob is describing the stages of mindfulness that then lead you to the Four Noble Truths is like, yeah, well, it's pretty deep. It is simple, but it is deep, and it's the Buddha's psychology. He essentially led us through like this
Mm.
quote unquote meditation that the Buddha would lead his what he called patience through, because he
Yeah.
also called us all psychotic, which we are, including himself. He took full responsibility in that. But yeah, just the depth of mindfulness and what that means to actually go within yourself. And especially living in this world where I feel like there's a lot of escapism with spirituality and meditation and trying to have these experiences, which those of you that know me now, I'm always saying, come back to the body. Everything's happening in your body. Everything is happening in your body. Everything is happening within you. And until you can fully experience that, then there's really no reason to travel elsewhere because it can be a little bit confusing. And he talks about that too. I mean, is it fun to do some interesting meditations every now and then? Yes. But to have that be your regular practice where you're going elsewhere and you're ignoring the body, I don't really think that that's that's not the yogic path, at least. I'll just say that that's not the yogic or the Buddhist path. And the yogis say essentially the same thing. But I do want to point out in chapter 6 when he's talking about right livelihood, I hope that you could all give yourself a hug, a pat on the back for the work that you're doing and becoming yoga teachers and continuing your education around that because that is, one of the right livelihoods. And obviously, I think we also all have a long way to go in learning. Like there's so much to learn. And I think that's part of it, right? Is like being honest with ourselves along the way and being honest with whoever we're sharing it with. But I think having the that urge or that desire or that pull to want to teach, to want to share is part of that sort of bodhisattva vow that we want to radiate compassion to all beings until everyone is free from suffering. On some level, we have this desire to want to help others, right? Or connect with others. Share. We know what this wisdom has done for us, so we have this desire to share it. And so I thought that was pretty neat. And he makes that very clear when I did my 500 hour with him and Michelle. The Vajra Yogini teacher training is very much that. And he gets into that. Was that chapter 7 where he gets into creativity, or is that chapter
Yeah,
9?
seven's creativity.
Okay. All right. So, and I love that, right? Because teaching yoga and teaching these methods and teaching these practices and teaching the philosophy, it is creative, right? And I think that it connects us to the creative part of us that maybe we didn't know that we had. And recognizing that creativity is not necessarily artistic. It doesn't mean you paint or you draw, you do these things that might kind of freak you out. But there's a creative aspect of like how you deliver this information. So that chapter definitely spoke to me, the creativity part. And I don't think that maybe I didn't pay attention the first time I read it, or maybe I skipped that chapter, but hearing about the way the Buddha performed to me, that was very interesting to say that art and creativity it inspires people. So they have moments of like lightheartedness, I believe the way he described it, moments of lightheartedness and happiness that made them get curious about finding their own happiness. So having that be the vehicle through those, I mean, his were like miraculous performances. Obviously, he could perform miracles because he was fully enlightened. Um, but still to be able to boil that down to what Bob was saying, that it has to do with art. And I mean, we've all experienced art to whatever degree that it calls to us. And in that moment, it is almost like watching a beautiful sunrise or sunset or whatever it is, where there's that moment where we're inspired and we feel happy. And there's that pause that makes us wonder, there's got to be more, right? Like, I think that's kind of what all brought us here to some degree, some way, shape, or form, was this little gap of there's got to be more, you know? And then, so maybe that wasn't the original calling, but I think we've all felt that. And it's in those gaps that we continue on the path where we keep getting those little bits where we're like, oh, yeah, that's why we're doing this.
Mhm.
We got to keep going. So that part on creativity was super duper interesting to me. Does anyone have anything that they want to add to any of this so far?
I think the mindfulness chapter really spoke to me and resonated with me in particular, even though I really enjoyed all of them. Because I've been doing Barbara's mindfulness Zoom classes, and it just parallels. Like it's she's teaching what he was teaching, and it makes so much sense. And really, bringing the awareness to what you're doing and what we even talked about. She gives us like little exercises each week. And last week's was to be mindful. One of them was mindful when you eat. And I said, that's a good one for me because I eat fast. And I really love food and enjoy, like, I'm a foodie, I would say, but I eat so fast and I don't really, and then you're like, oh, so I really practiced that a lot this week where, I breathe before I think about the bite I was taking, and it just changed the whole experience, right? Just like Amy, like you were saying, just like seeing your house and saying that looks so beautiful and so bright is it just because your awareness was opened up to it. So I
Absolutely.
think that chapter really spoke the most to me out of the three of them, although I like livelihood, but I was a little sad when I found out that if you're in sales, that is not the right livelihood, which I was very sad about that. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, but I'm on this path, so it balances, baby.
It
There you
depends
go.
how you approach it, though. It depends on how you approach it.
Oh, I'm the nicest person that you ever. I know I'm not pushy at all.
And if you believe in what you're selling and what you're selling isn't harming others, then
Oh yeah, no, it's helping. Honestly, things we do is helping people. So
yeah. So then
yeah.
it's okay. It's okay.
It
You
was
gotta,
just fun. It was really so brief. Like he just labeled off the things that were considered not, you
Right,
know,
right.
the right livelihood. And I don't even think that's his thinking. And then that was the Buddhist, the real, pure meaning of it. And I was like, sales? Shoot.
right? You're like, but wait a
I'm
minute,
on.
that's how we make this world go around anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it is a little different. Yeah. I mean,
But I felt like in some of those too, he comes back around to talk about, because at first it was even, yeah, so maybe it was like
yeah, he
the
does come back and kind of
original,
says, like, if you have to do it without harming others, right? If you're
yeah.
doing it with the right intentions without harming others and trying to do good, then then it is a
And he even came
realistic
back
livelihood.
around to even the soldier to say, it's,
Mhm.
some people choose that to feel as though they're protecting others.
Right.
Whereas like a few, not chapters before that, but whatever, a bunch of pages before that, he was saying that obviously that's also connected with harming and violence. So I think it's kind of mindset, and I think
Yeah.
that we've all, if we're not that person, we've known people that feel it's a calling to do jobs like that. And so, it's like, who are we to
Yeah,
judge
it was. Yeah,
that?
it was just
Yeah.
kind of a funny thing, but I wasn't really bothered by it. But I was like, oh,
And you're like, oh, oops.
whoops, sorry, Bob.
There's 100 more lives for you. That's uh, so anybody else have anything to share about the 6 and 7, chapter 6 and 7, before we get to 8 and talk more about mindfulness? Yeah, Katie.
Um, I really enjoyed chapter 7. I like how the more I read this book, the more I enjoy it. And I don't know if it's because his writing starts to become more digestible, or if it's like when I'm watching a movie with subtitles, at first it's really hard to pay attention to the movie and the subtitles. But then you get into it and then you just all becomes one. So I don't know if it's me or if it's him or both, but I love like the ongoing theme of emptiness being this open possibility. Specifically in chapter 7 in my book, it's page 128. I underlined this part about opening yourself as a portal of the infinite energy of relativity to energize all beings and things everywhere to become creative themselves, discovering their own wise and skillful love power to enjoy and offer beauty to whatever degree they can and the environment around them can bear. And then later it was talking about, or he was talking about, when you turn your awareness inward, you begin to see reactions and habits with distracting and negative thoughts bubbling up, out, and you don't know where. This is when you can turn your creativity to editing those thoughts and finding the well springs of wisdom, love, compassion, and beauty in your own mind. So I just love like how the things are stringing together of the emptiness and the creativity and the mindfulness. And with the creativity, I was thinking about like having a blank canvas, and it's not nothingness, it's the possibility. I really, really like that theme.
Yeah, that's so good. It is. I want you to, I don't know if you don't mind, read that first one again.
Oh, okay.
About, yeah, because that's, I just love his words, and then like read it slower too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not on 1.7.
Not on
Here we go.
not that you weren't super fast, but I just want everyone to really hear those words because it relates to like the bodhisattva, the compassion and whatnot. So
Okay. Opening yourself as a portal of the infinite energy of relativity to energize all beings and things everywhere to become creative themselves, discovering their own wise and skillful love power to enjoy and offer beauty to whatever degree they can and the environment around them can bear.
so good.
Yeah, so good.
It is.
I put a star and a heart next to that. It was just so good.
Yeah.
I did too. That was really good. And your voice is such a good reading voice. I
Oh,
was kind of like a little mesmerized.
Yeah.
That was nice.
thank
Yeah, it made
you.
you want to close your eyes and just take
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's
Keep reading
so
to us, Katie.
right. You just keep reading.
Keep
Actually, I've
reading.
nominated you to read to us tonight. No, I'm only kidding.
I totally will. I'm thinking about when I gain more confidence to start doing like guided meditations.
Oh, yeah. That would be everybody would be sleeping. Well, if you do it now, we're all gonna pass out.
It is true. It's gonna be that time of day where it's iffy. Forget to relax. But I love that. This is another thing that I want to share, to do some guided meditations around the visualization, right? In Buddhism, visualization is a really strong creative philosophy. And so there's like guru meditation that you can do where you visualize different Buddhas above your head. And some of you might have done that with me when I was doing the guided meditations at Karuna, when I was doing the Karuna ones. Yeah. But that's where all the possibilities exist. And that is, Katie, exactly. Emptiness is just infinite potential. It's infinite potential. It's everything undefined. And it's so cool. I mean, that can help. I feel like that can help us back out of so many things that constrict us in our lives, or maybe where we get stuck around uh, healing within ourselves. If we can kind of back out and just allow ourselves to be in that space before it was ever defined, because the definitions are what are so constricting. and harmful in a way. I mean, they help us, right? If we can be fluid in recognizing how we need to be helped. But if we get caught up in the finite definitions of things, then we can get stuck in the ways that we're trying to evolve or heal or whatever. So the idea, the true, idea of emptiness to me brings so much ease, right? Because it's like that permission, like I said, to pull the lens out and remember that nothing is actually defined, right? So therefore, the way that we might define ourselves that keep us imprisoned, that's not real either, right? So there's that spaciousness again. It's all about creating spaciousness. It doesn't mean that we don't come back to these definitions, but to be able to step out, and that's part of that visualization, those meditations that I was talking about, of where we can become the clear light. I think I've done that with all of you, right? Where we have those moments of just visualizing ourselves free from just our physical bodies, right? Our blood, our bones, our cells, all the things that weigh us down, and to visualize ourselves as clear light and free. There's that moment that happens where there's this opportunity to bring in love and compassion and gratitude, I feel like, and infuse that into that spacious space of the clear light. And then we gradually, obviously, come back to our material bodies, but we've infused it now with the spaciousness of love and compassion. So there's a little bit more to work with there. And I think that's where the radiance comes from too, when we share all this with others. Kind of like what Amy was saying in the beginning. It's like the way that we understand the wisdom of this, or the transmission deepens, I think, every time we take this wisdom in more and more. And it's not necessarily even through our words, but more just through our being, because of the way that now the wisdom has been transmitted to us, the way that we begin to live in the world, right? So just our mere being, I think, radiates or vibrates a little bit different. And that's kind of what really has that impact on the world. That's kind of why we're drawn to these teachings, is because we've done this before. We left off somewhere in another lifetime, and here we are picking it back up again.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit different. So thank you for bringing that up, Katie. Can always come back to emptiness. It's hard for a lot of people to understand emptiness, because people that don't study philosophy or wisdom traditions have a hard time breaking free of what they identify with within themselves, which is usually not a positive thing, right? We know this about ourselves, but I guarantee we can all name at least one person
Mhm.
that has these, the real stronghold on the way that they identify with their problems.
Mhm.
Yeah, am I right? We all know at least one person, if not.
It's usually like all the other people that you live with. When you really become like aware of their non-awareness, you're like, oh, okay. Like, it just becomes like, okay, like you just kind of understand they're probably never gonna have that same like kind of level, like that same vibe, and you just try to like let yours carry through, you know.
Yep.
That's when the compassion comes into play.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly, exactly. Have
A
compassion for all of
compassionate
you.
understanding, right? Like I know, yeah, like because we all live in psychosis of some kind, and so we're all relatively asleep in some way. So that's the compassion. But yeah, that's why everyone thinks we're crazy. We're walking around saying, "May you be free from suffering and
Right.
all the causes of suffering."
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
This crazy cult we're in.
I know. God.
Well,
Jen.
yeah.
I know, Katie, you just said it, but Jen said something so funny to me yesterday. Do you want to share this? You don't have to.
Oh no, I can share it. It's
I
fine.
just thought it was so hilariously awesome.
I was I was gonna take a left turn into Starbucks. And I started to notice like this truck next to me that was in the next lane was like acting weird, swerving. And then I looked up and this woman like almost T-boned me. Like literally we were a car's length away. And I was like, I was fine. Other people were honking. And when I pulled into the Starbucks parking lot, I saw the license plate and it said "Joy to you." And so I left Jen a message and I was like, well, I almost died, but since I joined your cult, I have like these joy spirits. And like that was a sign, like the joy to you. I was like, they were here, they were supporting me. And she said, yes, like her cult friends are support cult spiritual friends are supporting me.
Oh my God.
Although they might just be cultural, right? So it's just
Cultural.
Right,
They're
right,
just
yeah.
our spiritual vehicles. Yes.
yeah, that's what you said, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, and so honestly, like Eva, I'm glad you asked me to say that because even that example, um, like I really was fine. Like I wasn't like freaked out at all. If anything, I was just like, oh my God, that's so cool that like I saw that license plate. Like I just wasn't like I feel like the guy next to me freaked out more and his life wasn't even in danger. But I think I do notice, I mean, I've, done a lot of work for a long time. I know I say it, but if you do get to a point, like even what you were saying, Amy, like and again, I've had the opportunity to process it through therapy and so many different things, but it's like, I do have compassion and I did have to learn that compassion also doesn't mean condoning. So it's like, I'm also not going to like condone your bad behavior just because
Yeah.
you don't spend 10 hours reading Wisdom is Bliss or
Right, right.
whatever. So, but compassion, it does help. And it does help me. It's funny. And I think I said this to Jen before too. Like I've always been told, so I don't know, but I've been told that my energy does affect everything. Like it's just I have a presence. I understand that. Um, and that's hard sometimes. But I've really been able to finally come into it and say, like, okay, like I have compassion that maybe I'm whether it's too much or too little or not enough or like whatever it is, like that has nothing to do with me, my friend. I see that, like, I used to be you at one point, like not you guys, but like
Yeah,
whoever it is, like I
yeah.
really do see that now. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I used to be like, whatever. I mean, God,
Right.
we don't want to talk about the phases of my life. But that compassion, it does. And I think it begins with, and I know everyone says it, but it's so true. Compassion for yourself, like
Mhm.
for all your mistakes and fuck ups and all the things that you've ever done.
Yeah.
Yep. And mostly how horribly we treat ourselves because we think we've made all these mistakes and fuck ups, but it's
Mhm.
really just how hard we treat ourselves about those things that usually if you were to tell someone about, they're like, it's not really that bad. And you're like, what do you mean it's not that bad? And I just beat myself up over that for 10 years. So it's not.
Yeah.
True.
All right. Mindfulness. Let me find my bookmark here.
I liked that. I think Dawn about the mindfulness exercise that Barbara had you do reminded me of like I had this kind of crazy old guy yoga teacher at Northern Essex uh, many years back, and he was kind of kooky, but he would always give us like mindfulness homework, and sometimes it would be like when you leave today, drive home, mindfully, or take a shower, or just like the simplest things. And sometimes I still kind of remember that. Like, try that. Like, think about taking a shower and not being in there and worrying about, oh my God, I have to do this after, I have to do that. You really just kind of breathe in and, you feel the water on your skin and like really shave your legs good, not like, and every step of it becomes so mindful. And then you're like, wow, that was like awesome. Because why worry about like, yeah, you probably have to like put your kid to bed or have dinner or whatever, but like take 10 minutes in the shower and like enjoy it and do it in a way that you're just mindful. So you're not thinking of all that stuff that's still there, no matter when you get to it. It's not going anywhere, you know?
It is true. That was a good teacher that you had.
Yeah. I wonder what happened. I don't even remember his name, but he was definitely kooky. And my younger cousin was in the class and he just gave my cousin like the hardest time, the poor kid. Like he's dyslexic and but he comes off as like a troublemaker. And, but he was a good looking back because that was probably at least, I don't know, it was like 20, maybe like 16, 17, somewhere around there. And didn't really know much about yoga then. It was like I had to take exercise classes and I was like, oh, yoga, probably be easy. But there was a lot of like philosophy in it. And then it was like, what is he? It was so weird, especially it was mostly like young boys in the class. So nobody was, I mean, I was probably into it more than anybody, but back then it was even kind of weird. But the mindfulness always stuck, you know?
But it was a yoga class?
It was like one day it was in the classroom and you learn, philosophy and all that kind of stuff. And then another day would be like in the gym doing yoga.
Gotcha.
And it's
It
funny
was like
because
the lab. The
yeah,
lab.
but
Yeah.
to look at him, he was kind of like heavy and scruffy, old, glasses, beard, all white. Not even in like yoga clothes, but then you see like how flexible. And that's what I kind of made me think like, oh, he's not just some random person they hired to teach like a yoga class. It was good.
It's like
Yeah.
when Ram Dass says it's, your guru and drag.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. I love that.
I do too. Every time he says that, I love that saying so much.
Yep. Everyone you meet is God in drag.
Yeah.
hmm
God, yeah. I think I said your guru, but yes.
That's it. All right. So getting to, well, this is the part where, let's see. Oh, I thought it was interesting when he talks about a mirror, just the image
Mm.
of ourselves, even in a mirror, being an illusion, essentially. Like, and how you used to, even now, like in this Zoom meeting and you see yourself in the video, it's like we think that that's us, but it's not. Right? Obviously, this is getting into like the real reality of things,
Yeah.
how everything is an illusion. That stuff is almost like Einstein's theory of relativity. You're like, oh, I almost get it, but it hurts my brain, so I have to stop thinking about it. But
It
you
that
know
Wasn't
that it's there.
Wasn't him trying to make the point, Jen, about how like people can't wrap their head around there's illusion and reality all happening at the same time.
Mhm.
And I was sort of like, huh. And then when he did the mirror thing, I was like, oh, now I get it. Like it
Yes.
totally made sense because it's really we're looking at the opposite of us. And so at first you're just kind of like you want to touch it. But then we learn that's just a reflection. And so it's an illusion, but it's also reality. That totally made that was a
Oh
great
yeah,
example. It was a
totally.
really great example.
Yep.
I was happy he put it in there because I can't tell you how many times since for as long as I can remember having memories, having like this thought that like I don't know that like your reflection is just so weird and just knowing that I would become a long time ago when I would like be OCD about certain things, I would become even obsessive about the idea of like, I'll never know what my face really looks like. Like, and it is like such a trippy thing to think about. So when I read it, or like Jen just now when you said that, like it is like, it's like, yeah, you almost get it. And like, it's like I've been working on it my whole life. I still don't get it, but um, it's weird to like, yes. And exactly what Amy was saying too. Like when I'm in the shower, I do take my time now because it turns out like who made up time?
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
And even with
Right.
words, like who and I used to think of that as a kid and all these weird thoughts that just made me feel like I was a weirdo. Like who said that this is well, obviously this was recent,
Oh,
but
Jen, I do
whatever
the
the
same
word
thing.
is, like,
Me too.
you
Me
feel like
too.
a weirdo. Like, why am I thinking like that?
Yep. No,
Who
it's true.
decided to name a dog a dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did
Yeah.
we agree that dog and here and like pedo and like it's like how did we agree that that translated to be the same? I don't know. And then it's just like because none of it exists.
Yeah.
That's how.
True. And then the ego came into play, and things
Mm.
are like, you know,
Communist Jews again, Dave?
people thought that they knew what they were doing because they were naming shit after themselves or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So true. It is weird to think about, right? That we don't ever see our own faces. Like, what is up with that?
I know. And you think like you see a picture, like, I don't know, sometimes you think you look a certain way and then you see a picture and you're like, oh my God, like it either looks like way better than you thought or it looks like horrible. And then you just feel, I get like you said, Jen, like your ego comes in and you're like, oh, I don't want anyone to see that or whatever. Like we talked about with the hair, like, I don't care if people know that I have white hair. Like, so what? Like, what does it mean? Like, does it mean I'm old? Maybe, but like I know people much younger than me that have like why are all these things a thing? You know, your weight, your whatever, I don't know, your hair, your nails, your clothes, like just the stupid things that we somehow like learn to like value. I mean, I think we all want to look presentable and like, you know, but I don't know, like I'm just
There's
care
variations of
less.
that depending on the day,
Mhm.
that's for
It-
sure.
Right, right. Exactly.
Yeah, no, it is true. I mean, in our society, in particular, like in America, I mean, that's huge. Just appearances, right? Like that's,
Absolutely.
yeah. And how much of it, like none of it is actually, well, none of it matters, obviously. And none of it is real, really.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, here we are living this life, and we're here to learn, but that's like stuff that is a waste of time, I think. But we're so caught up in it because it's obviously the way that we've been programmed,
Exactly.
right? So
Mhm.
imagine we have to like break through all these barriers. We're constantly doing that. Like I think all of us here, we're all aware of those barriers, yet we still, I mean, I guess personally speaking, I still fight with some of them. And a lot of them, depending on the day, the time, whatever, my interactions, like it's a ebb and a flow, and it's frustrating. And then at the same time, we have this path and this wisdom, and like it would be, that's why retreats are great, honestly, because it's like you move away. A women's retreat in particular, being with a group of women, like none of this stuff in my experience so far, none of the material stuff, like the barriers that I was just talking about, comes into play at all, right? So then you can just focus on the actual wisdom and the energy and like everything that's just there. It's amazing. Like the desire to even look into a mirror is like zero.
Exactly.
Like what you're wearing, putting makeup on, like none of it matters. What you're eating, like there's no thought. It's just all just being, which I think is like real life, as
Mhm.
close to real life as we can get, that kind of. But we have all these other layers that obviously get in the way. So every day we have this fight going on, right? Of all this stuff. And then I think too, obviously when you read about enlightenment, even this chapter on mindfulness, it's like you can have, you can care about your looks and your clothes and all that kind of stuff when you achieve a certain level of awareness of reality, right? This reality that we live in, and then the real reality of being part of everything and all of existence, right? Because the attachment, and then we get into the different areas of Buddhism and yoga, but the attachment is gone. right? So
Right.
when we attach to anything or we have an aversion to anything, then it creates the suffering, all the levels of suffering that exist, or the barriers between us and feeling like we're in the flow of wisdom.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and everything is circular, right? Like we're constantly working on everything simultaneously. So it's like we can reach through and touch all these things that we know, and then we get sucked back in, and then we can reach out, and so on and so forth until the gaps of the wholeness are maybe slightly bigger or longer than those gaps of the barriers.
Mhm.
And even that's an ebb and a flow, because sometimes there's long periods of time where you're asleep again.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then something wakes you up and you're like, oh yeah, I remember this shit. Let me
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, all right. So getting into so he says, now let's follow the mindfulness or remembering source, the great focus of mindfulness discourse. So this is, though this is a witness of the Buddha's direct discourse, it is not all at all religious. He likes to make sure he points that out. It's only therapeutic, a doctor's leading of the patient through a specific therapeutic protocol. You decide to educate yourself in mind, so you assume the position of balanced sitting, either in a chair or cross-legged on a cushion. You can sit with your back straight, hands folded in your lap. Your mouth can be gently closed with your tongue touching your palate. Your chin slightly tucked with the neck relaxed, shoulders square, straight, and your eyes half lidded and focused just beyond the tip of your nose. And then he gets into mindfulness. You're going to focus your mindful awareness on your body, where you are located, to become lucidly awake about being it. You start by focusing on your breath, the bridge between your body and your mind. So obviously we know we talk about that all the time as our breath being the anchor, or like he says, the bridge between the body and the mind. So when we're teaching, we always start with the breath, connecting people to the breath. And we've experienced it and we get to witness it in others where people like, ah, you take the breath and you're like, that's right. Like I can breathe. I am here. Because our day or whatever was just crazy. And then we come into this space in terms of a yoga room or a meditation room, and someone tells you to breathe. There's ease in that, hearing like you can breathe, even though our breath is with us all the time, obviously. Um, so that focus, the bridge between body and mind, you breathe normally through your nostrils and count your breaths on exhalation from 1 to 10. You will almost at once notice that a train of thought will take you away from the counting before you get very far. And in that moment, your mindfulness kicks in. You remember you are practicing mindfulness, so you let go of the train of thought, dismount from it, disidentify from it being you, and come back to one with the exhale of that moment. Don't cheat yourself. I like this because we've all done this. Don't cheat yourself by resuming from wherever you remember you had reached, be it 2 or 3 or higher. Go back to 1. No one is judging your failure to concentrate on the counting. Actually, your success is you're noticing your mind being distracted by a thought train coming out of your unconscious, right? Like we're all guilty of being like, why are we lying to ourselves? Like, I'm starting at 3. Like, no,
Right.
just start at 1. Oh, it's so funny. So I would love to do this. And we did it. If you were in class this morning, we did it. We counted to 10
12.
a few different times. Or 12, Dawn. Yep, Dawn got to
I got
12.
lost. I just kept going.
And
I was
now
like,
I
oh,
have a question
yeah.
about this. So what happens to me is I'll count to 10 and I can stay focused from 1 to 10, but simultaneously there are thoughts. So I'm thinking in order to be completely clear, I just have to start going back to 1 even when I notice the simultaneous thoughts, even though I'm still focusing on counting. Yeah? So we
But
just
isn't that like, isn't that, I can't remember. I've definitely read something in this book. Maybe it's even into chapter 9, like on that thought, like, kind of how when he goes back to the part talking about he really wanted to be like a mendicant monk and he really wanted the meditation to be first. And he was saying like how he wouldn't let him do that because you can get into like a space of like absolute nothingness in your mind, but that's not the point. The point is to do what you said, like being mindful in that moment, but still having the thoughts because they're still a thing, but just learning to not like to keep focusing on your counting and then noticing that you have the thoughts is like the thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember, you know, like,
Yeah, well, he was talking about because he was trying to get to nirvana, thinking that it was something different than life, you know.
yes, yes.
So his teacher would keep bringing him back. But yeah, it's probably a little bit of both with the counting, right? Like if the thoughts are coming in and you're still counting, I mean, why not just come back to 1 again,
Oh yeah,
right? And see if you can
absolutely.
refine that a little bit more.
Right, right.
Yeah. All right. So let's give it a try for a couple minutes. We'll just close our eyes and I'll give you a little notice when we're coming out of it. So 1 to 10 over and over again and being honest when we get distracted to start back at 1. All right. We have a long way to go in this conversation, but only 5 minutes until 8. So we'll wrap up by just sharing that experience for whoever wants to share. Susan, Sue, I could not get past 1.
I don't think I did either. I was too busy thinking about noticing when I was thinking.
I got to about 3 and I kept restarting. So I did
Yeah.
get past that at one point, but it was mostly like 3 and like, and then I was doing the same thing, Tracy, thinking about, am I thinking about something? And then I would like restart.
I tried to tell myself it was 3, but I think I was lying to myself. It was maybe not even 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely didn't get beyond 1. All I can think about is this is not the time to be doing any such things. I'm like, all right, well that's okay. I got cooking going on now. I'm like, I'm trying to get
Oh
ready
my
for tomorrow.
God.
I'm just laughing. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go sit down for a minute. Ian's like, what about the chicken? I'm like, it will probably burn. It's okay. There I am thinking about I'm not gonna have anything to eat tomorrow. Sorry, that was me.
Joanne, I got through 10 a few times, but definitely had thoughts going on in the background. Yeah.
It paused a little bit.
I felt annoyed every time I went back to 1, and then I was like, I'm noticing myself feel slightly annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Kaylee, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say the same thing, and I was getting annoyed and anxious. I'm like, and just like ended up just repeating. I'm like, oh no, kind of want this exercise to be over now, but it's good.
Maybe that wasn't the way we were supposed to practice it.
I mean,
I
there
started
anyway
laughing
is
at
the way.
myself
Mm.
because it's like I couldn't get past 1.
Yeah.
Like, and then I tried closing my ears because Serenity's in the other room, and that's part of it, and I feel like as a mom we have this extra vigilance going on when our children are around us, and that's tough. So I'm just closing my ears.
True.
And then I started to get excited about sharing what my experience with the group. So I just started just laughing at myself because it was just like 1, okay, 1.
Yep.
I think, Katie, that's so perfect because it I wanted to say this before, it goes back to that passage that you read and the very last part, which it's like, to whatever degree you can do this within the environment around you can bear.
Yes.
And we
That's
didn't
so
even
fitting.
do it right because we didn't have our eyes slightly open, gazing toward the
Right.
tip of our nose. I did that towards the end, and I was like, this is a whole other fucking distraction now because I'm like, what side of my nose do I look at? Because when I'm gazing toward the tip of my nose, I only see one at a time. I don't know about you guys, but that's hard to do.
I feel like I could go cross-eyed if I tried that.
Yeah, I feel like it
that's
would give me a headache.
kind of what you have to
I would
do,
just take
but
my glasses off and see nothing really.
I
can't
kind of
see
found
anything.
myself just going. I was going 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, like over and over and over. Because then I would like the thought would come up. I was like, oh, I'm afraid to go to 2, and then I would be like 1, 2, 1, 1.
I know, like you, I got to like 5 or 6 a couple times, and then I started like thinking about like drawing the number in my head. And then I'm like,
Yes.
wait, am I thinking about that? Like, or can I keep going? And then, like you said, Jen, I'd get back to 1 and be like, ah. And I
yep.
made it to like 9 one time. And I was just like, because I was like, no, I probably really should have went back at like 5 or 6, but I let myself think I could make it, you know?
Yep. One
It's so
time I was like
funny.
doing okay, but my stomach started to bubble, and I was like, what if it makes a loud fart sound and everyone can hear that? And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna start back at 1
You're like
again.
1.
1, 1. All right, well, we're gonna have to try that one time for a whole hour.
Yeah.
Just 1 to 10 for a whole, maybe like a half hour, because then we can talk about it for another half hour.
Oh,
All right.
that's funny.
Well, this
One
was
of the
fun.
other thoughts that came in my mind was like, okay, so am I supposed to just be counting 1, 2, 3, Or am I like breathing, counting, and
Breathing. Yeah.
yeah. And then it's funny because Amy said something similar about like drawing it, and it's like, is that okay? So like even with meditation, like we are asking ourselves, am I doing this right?
I know.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Like, is that okay? Should I
I feel like
start
that's
again?
part of our suffering, is like questioning ourselves if we're doing it right, you know?
Yes,
That's the
exactly.
first
But
like sentence of this too,
but what he
right?
says is, but it's still you're practicing the mindfulness because you are mindful that, oh, I have to go back to one. Like
Exactly.
that's the
Yeah,
whole
right. You're
exercise, I
noticing.
think, right? That
Oh yeah,
you bring
that's
yourself
part of
back
it.
out of it. Yeah. So
Yep.
it makes sense, but it's a little frustrating.
Well,
Dawn,
there's
if
our
what you're
practice.
saying is, sorry, I was just going to say, Dawn, if what you're saying is true, then I can do this really well. If it's all going back to one, I'm at one, one, two, one, one, one,
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know
we
how
all
to
did
do
it
this
really well.
one. So then, yes, if what you're saying is true, I'm fabulous at this.
That's it.
I think we all were.
That's right. So we'll keep on going. He says, all right, we'll end here. As you continue, you may find you're more and more successful and that you become aware of more and more distracting thoughts and of distracting thoughts about the distracting thoughts. And that's what we were talking about. And all sorts of funny memories, bad and good, and also many anticipations or anxieties, imagining future good or bad scenarios. This is a stage where if you have not learned something of the inner science about the processes, the benefits and dangers of practicing and not practicing, awakening and not awakening, you may become discouraged and turn to thinking of yourself as a hopeless case and a non-meditator and decide it doesn't work for you and you give up. So we're not doing that. We're not giving up. Good.
No, we were all successful.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Yep.
So we keep on going and we'll get to the next stage that's not really anything anyway, but we're gonna do it because nothing matters, but everything matters, that whole thing. And we
Yeah.
just leave here feeling totally confused, which is perfect.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, all right, cool. Well, next week we're doing cobbler's pose, so we don't have to count, but we will continue to do this practice and hopefully anybody that watches the replay has a good time with everything that we talked about tonight, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Yes.
All right, everyone.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Night,
Night.
everyone.
Oh.